Business District Committee.
And I just started the recorder.
Okay, so what do I need to do?
Nothing. So I think we are recording now.
Oh, okay. So once again, we will now start the Central Business District Committee meeting for May the 26th. Andrew, I'm turning it over to you to get us started.
Thank you. So I will pull up the agenda here. And the first on the agenda is the Town Square project concept. And we do have Bob Poff from Montgomery Museum of Art and History here, as well as Chris Sanchez from Christiansburg Institute, Inc. And these two organizations have been working together and would like to provide they do have a PowerPoint presentation. I believe that's correct, Chris. That's you wanted me to pull that up.
Yep, the one I sent to you. You know which one. Yep.
Yesterday.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull that up, and if it's okay with the chair, we'll go ahead and hand the meeting over to them for a presentation.
Okay.
Andrew, did you want me to share my screen with the presentation, or did you? Oh, I see. You're already on it.
Yeah, so I'll just go into.
Yep. So I'm actually going to get started here and just kind of begin with this first image. Again, you all know who I am, Chris, and then Bob here with me. We've been working very closely together for a good bit of time here on a really powerful and important memory project interpreting local Black history and bringing needed acknowledgement to Black history in the county and even in, of course, the town of Christiansburg. So Bob and I will be happy to update you all on the work we've been doing as a joint committee between CI and Montgomery Museum. I quickly want to say this work began in 2018. There have been many voices, many folks in the community from the Montgomery Museum Board, the CI Board, in addition to just the broader community who has contributed, participated throughout these last 4 years to get us where we are today. So I just wanted to provide a quick orientation about where we've been and kind of where we're headed. I want to highlight quickly this image here is a Sanborn map from 1885 showing the public square in downtown Seaburg. And this is where we'll be doing the work we were proposing for town council in terms of that square and the quadrant being a African-American storyboards being placed there. Can you hit the next slide for me, Andrew?
Yeah.
And then Bob, do you want to go ahead and share a little bit about what we're looking at here, and I can piggyback off of you?
Right. So we had a joint board meeting, I believe last week or week before last, time flies. And with the proposed storyboards, NL Bishop there is looking at one that we're proposing to do on slavery. As say, we want to cover the African-American history of Montgomery County, and of course that was in a major portion of the history there. So we got the slavery board. We're going to do a board on education. This is not just CI, but all the other smaller schools, Rosenwald schools that were in the county. And then the third one we're still working on is about community life, hoping there to get all of the smaller African-American communities in the county. So what you see is kind of a county map where a lot of African-American histories. We're looking for more pictures from those areas, pictures of schools for people, things like that. So that'll be the third board on that. Chris, you want to add to that? Or?
And that represents the 3 storyboards that we're proposing to establish in one of the quadrants in downtown Christiansburg. Again, that's about education, community life, and slavery in Montgomery County. And you know, to be very clear, this is covering all of the African-American history in Montgomery County. So we've done really, really patient and responsible work working with the Black community and figuring out what the stories are, how to best honor them and hold that in attention to make sure that the many voices and the many stories are honored in the work we're doing here. So those are the three boards that we are proposing to build: community life, education, and then the narrative on slavery in Montgomery County. And again, this represents work from 2018 all the way to the present moment. As we look at this board in particular, this one is about education. I'll let Bob speak to the images, but before I do that, I just want to say, again, these photos, a lot of the design work, everything you're seeing here was done by the committee. Sherry and Jenny, Sherry Wyatt and Jenny Naird. Jenny is our curator at CI, and of course, Sherry over at the museum have worked really hard together over a good period of time to put these designs together, select photos that speak to the broad history of African-American education in the county. And this is the more recent iteration that we've seen and that we presented to our joint board reception last week.
So pretty much, I know it's self-explanatory, covering the schools, you know, CI, there you have their trades on one picture. We got students at the Hill School, which, as you know, is up on High Street from 1910. And of course, we got two pictures here from Elliston. The school in Elliston was a Rosenwald school, which was funded about 4,000 schools, partially funded throughout the South. So that's a typical picture of one of those.
Is that building not surviving, Bob?
I believe that's the one that's had major fire damage.
It is.
And, you know, I don't know if it's savable. I haven't been down to look at it. I've just seen pictures of it with the damage. And I'm not even sure who owns it right now.
I've been down there a couple of times and it's in real bad shape.
Where is that? Is there any landmark close by where I could go check it out? It's pretty interesting.
Is it
You know,
a break, Mr. Bishop? Or
I'm sorry, you were cut off, Bob.
Marissa was asking about the address where it's at. Is it along about Break Road?
It is. That's what I'm trying to remember the name of the road. If you're going down what we call it towards Elliston and Elliston, I think you turn right on Break Road and go up probably quarter of a mile or so, and it's on your left-hand side. I mean, it's obvious when you see it. I mean, it's burnt. I don't know. It's been a few years that it's been burnt, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We can go on to the next slide. So that was education we just talked about. This one here is about the narrative of slavery in Montgomery County. I do want to quickly share with you a very important spirit and values that we have foregrounded into our shared work together between the Montgomery Museum and CI. We've committed ourselves to honesty and truth-telling and being vulnerable and having uncomfortable conversations around contested history and the legacy of Jim Crow and slavery in the South, and as that relates to Montgomery County. So we have had very honest and transparent discussions together spanning 4 years about the narrative of slavery, making sure that we are doing our due diligence in the research to document evidence of slave auctions in the county and plantations locally, and actually the contribution of slave labor to the Montgomery County economy. Now this here in the center, I do want to highlight the sketch there is done by Lewis Miller. I'm sure you all know who Lewis Miller was, and he's known for his authenticity in his sketch work. And we have a sketch here from Lewis Miller showing some enslaved folks being auctioned on auction block in Christiansburg. When we presented this to both our boards at the museum and CI, Sherry noted that we don't know the exact location of where this would have been. We know it was in the town square. There's reference of an auction block, but we don't know the exact location. We just know generally it was in a prominent fixed space in the town center. And so you can see this here. This is one piece of evidence we use to show and to tell that slavery was here in Montgomery County, and Seaburg participated in slave trafficking. Above on the top right, you'll see several, it's a black and white image. You'll see rows of what these were cabins. These were enslaved cabins on Latimer's plantation, which is what CI eventually acquired to become the school. And these slave cabins were reused as dormitories for male students at CI. And so we you know, we're really doing the best and we can do to be honest and to build relationships in the honesty around this narrative in the town and in the county and in the South. And Bob, you can please, you know, but based upon our work together and the trust building and the rapport building, we've got a very solid team who's able to speak to this history comfortably and together, and not so as to alarm folks or so as to incite blame. This is literally about truth telling and healing so we can move forward and talk about the fullness of the history in the county. And this is just one part of it. It was really important for us that we did not overshadow the project with just the brutality of slavery, of course, or Jim Crow South. That's why we have 3 storyboards, one that talks about education, the other that talks about community life and joy, and then this one here about slavery in the county. And Bob, please feel free to add anything you'd like to add.
I think you covered it well, Chris. I think the image speaks for itself, and what's going on in Christiansburg, and we have first or second person narratives, like one's down there before about they held the slaves in the jail. So I think it's a powerful image. It's part of the history that needs to be told, and telling it, I think, in a public space is a great way for it to be seen and understood.
And I just do want to add to that too. You know, we really strongly believe as a joint committee that this project is postured to be a model in partnership with local government of how we can do this work together equitably, how we can reconcile and come around a shared project to offer more visibility to the nuanced history in the county. So we're really confident in working together that we can actually show a better way to interpret contested histories where there's historical trauma and bring the community around it, you know, today. And so that's a huge part of our work here with this particular board, is modeling a new way centered in truth telling and honesty and a commitment to respect and trust building.
Any questions on it?
And then we have one more board. Now this board, I'll just quickly say, this is incredible. There is so much African-American history across the county, and this just shows some of it. We really wanted to show the inset map, as Bob mentioned previously, so folks could get an actual scale of the Black history just kind of concentrated right here in Montgomery County. So we're still working with the local African-American community to make sure that we're covering and doing our due diligence in terms of the history and the stories that speak to African-American community life across the county. You'll see CI is listed, and then you have folks out in Elliston, Shawsville, Allegheny Springs, Newtown and Blacksburg, Wake Forest. I had the privilege of going to Wake Forest with Miss Debbie and got to see a lot of the Black history out there. So this is really showing all of the community life and the Black community, churches, businesses, entertainment, communities, and clubs. There were many, 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 many. I'm sure most of you know that, and we're really excited to broadcast that to folks who don't know. I think oftentimes when people think about rural Appalachia, they typically don't think about African-American folks. And so this is an opportunity to show that, you know, in rural counties and in rural municipalities, Black and white people have been working together for a long time. This is the story of CI. And this speaks to some of that across the county. Did you want to add anything, Bob?
No, I think I covered it.
Can I go back to the original? I think it's the original map where it shows where everything should be placed.
I think the next slide may cover that, or the next 2 slides may cover that a little.
Okay.
Or with a better map, or just a slide dedicated to that.
All righty, so this begins the first iteration of an idea that initially came from Bob and myself as we were scoping out potential area where we could propose to put the 3 signs. So Bob and I went downtown and kind of saw this site as being the probably the ideal site. We don't want to touch the war memorial across the street. That's very clear. And you got the public safety also park there across the street. And so we don't want to touch that. But we also know in this quadrant, there's lots of green space to interpret and to build and to grow. And so we know there is an existing Confederate monument there. I believe it was established in 1884. Outside of that, though, there are not any other monuments. Now, there is one storyboard. It's a Civil War trail storyboard, and interprets that site. So what we're proposing is that we would actually locate these 3 signs in this particular quadrant. But this was just the first design draft based upon Bob and I being on site, kind of looking at the land. We proposed this to the committee, and there was a lot of excitement there. And if we could go on to the next slide, you'll kind of get to see the development. And Bob, if you want to take over this one.
Okay, this slide, as Chris and I was out there, we thought it'd be great to have the sidewalk coming in, the signs inside the quadrant, instead of originally as proposed around the exterior sidewalks. And I was worried about room for that. I met with Randy and Andrew, and Randy graciously had the town GIS person come up with this design with the sidewalks. The blue would be signs. We got locations for 3 signs, proposing to relocate to Civil War signs on the sidewalk, and then 2 future signs. One which Randy and I talked about, he'd like, and I think it'd be appropriate to have a one on the history of Christiansburg, when it was founded and things like that, because we don't really cover that downtown. Also, Randy suggested a couple park benches, which I thought was a great idea. That's the kind of gold cross-haired, I can't think of the word for it, but anyway, there's 2 benches there, and location for 6 signs. Also, the yellow triangle, with a light green triangle on the lower portion. You got the green tree, and then the triangle is a Confederate monument. We're proposing on the other end, diagonally opposite, to come up with a type of an art sculpture to be there. That would probably be an art sculpture of African-American, maybe representing something from African-American history, or have an African-American artist create something in that public space. So that's a piece of art that we would propose we continue to work on and develop that going down the road.
Hey, Bob, can I jump in just a second?
Yes, please.
All right. I just got cut off, so I don't know if my internet's going bad. So if that happens, I'm not ignoring y'all. It happens this time of every day for some odd reason. But I caught most of what you were saying, Bob, and I think I caught the middle part of what Chris was saying. But carry on.
Chris, you wait for the next one, or you want to talk about this some more?
No, I think I just want to, as we showed the first drawing, that was the first one, Bob and I kind of boom. And then we, developed it further. Randy kind of put his eyes on it. And this is kind of what we're seeing now. Now, the next one, this is kind of where we're at in consideration. We've not landed on any one particular design in final, of course, but this is kind of what we like to see. This is what we're looking at. You'll see some key differences here, and Bob, we can tango here, but you'll see that circle in the center for the proposed walkway. I really like that feature. Bob, can you share more about why that was integrated into the design?
Yes, it would give more room for people to even to gather there, to read more room to read the signs. If there's more than 1 or 2 people that want to read it. Tim Guthrie with Gay and Neil is on the museum board, and he came up with this concept after we did the presentation to the Montgomery Museum. Well, I mean, to both boards together. He was like that, but his concept here, he's got the brick around the circle that ties in with the other brick sidewalks. So he's trying to make everything look unified in the downtown area. He said if people like this, he would pretty it up some with green, but I think this pretty well shows what we're talking about. We're talking about relocating the Civil War sign over, and he's actually showing space for 3 future signs instead of 2 that was on the other design.
And as you can see, what this is becoming, and as we've envisioned, is a space. It's a real place to go, to walk, to sit down with family and friends, and learn about all the local history in Montgomery County. I mean, this has the potential to really be a history public art space where people can walk and sit down and have a lunch or enjoy art and communicate and talk and look at the history. And I just also this history in general, in terms of tourism, is trending across the South in particular right now. And there's a tremendous amount of history locally here. So this fits into a particular market right now where a lot of grant writers, a lot of grant donors are looking at projects just like this. They want to see projects just like this. So I think we're tapping into a broader market, and again, that we can model a way together to do this work, really beginning in Christiansburg in Montgomery County.
It's a pretty large expense. Can I ask how about funding?
Yes. The sidewalks, Randy gave me some estimates on that, on this particular design with the sidewalks and the 2 benches, which would be benches like elsewhere downtown, would be roughly $14,000. And we would like to partner with the town to see if the town would do the sidewalk and concrete work, maybe using their own crews to do that. The signs, then we have some private donors and donations that we'll be looking for to do that. Also, since this potential tourism, I'm glad you brought that up, Marissa, was see if we could tap into maybe the town or county tourism money for part of the cost of that.
And Andrew, is this going to council before it comes to the arts board for a potential art piece?
I'm going to jump in if y'all don't mind.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it needs to go to the arts committee first and get y'all's input before it comes to town council. Is that what you was asking, Marissa?
Yeah, on the art portion of it. I mean, this is much
Right.
larger than just that, but absolutely, I would recommend it go to the arts board. I think it's a lovely place for a piece of art. I would support that. And, have open discussions on what that should look like as a place we can put art. And we do have a budget. So I can see that conversation going very well.
Right, and I would see, and Randy, please, jump in, but I would see the conversation of the walking area with the signboards going to council first, and then with the idea that that the proposed art exhibit could be brought to the art board at a later date.
Now, I'd like to ask the committee, when it comes to either design that's chosen and you do have an art piece installed, how much, I guess, input, if the arts committee is going to handle it, does that become a town project, or does that still go through your group to get what you're looking for? Because I can see that being a little bit of a conflict I'd like to nip before it gets to that point.
Yeah, I really appreciate you asking that. That's a very important question. And I think, Bob and I were in talking to the joint committee, we would like to remain in partnership at every level with what's happening in this particular quadrant around this particular idea. I think, between the Montgomery Museum, of course, the museum, CI, we operate a museum. This just seems like a natural partnership that could be sustainable long-term, where we keep building this out. It's not just one project and we're done, but we really invest in each other and in these institutions for something more long-term that we can build around, organize around, and create together. That's what I would like to see. Bob, can you chime in there?
Yes, on the what we also talked about on the post art project, we would like to set some parameters, maybe other people jump in, but let's set our boundaries as to, okay, how it's related to African American, an African American artist or related somehow. We didn't have time to actually talk about how that we would define those, but we would like to be involved in the the town or somebody just saying we're going to put up a piece of art. We'd like to have something that relates to African American history.
And we're flexible. We can work together. I think this would just require some more conversation, some more meetings with some more people in the room. I'm pretty convinced that that's literally mostly what it takes oftentimes, right? And if we're all committed to the same values and the same goal, I think we just got to get in the same room together and then we can just start dreaming. So yes, I think, I think that's another conversation that we want to have. Absolutely.
And that,
Yeah.
and that can be a longer term project. I mean, build the sidewalks and area here, install the first 3 signs, and maybe it's next year we do the art, start on the art exhibit. Anyway, I don't see it all happening very soon.
Right. I just want to make sure that we are covered, because I know the arts board right now is talking about, who's responsible. Sorry. I'll mute that.
Thank you.
Who's responsible and, maintenance and the funding. There's so much behind that. So maybe, Andrew, if we want to maybe discuss this, it could be prematurely, but this is a good example of the solutions that the board will need to come up with. So I think this is a good starting off point to make those discussions happen soon.
And I would agree. Yeah, is this a process where we implement what's in the plan right now, in the draft plan, as a call for artists, where we're looking at criteria and then we're getting input from both museums on pulling together that criteria and to issue the call for artists, and then we would, the way that the plan is set up is that we would come up with a community involvement plan for each each art proposal that we have. So really, I do think it can be tailored to the needs of this particular project, if that's desired moving forward.
Well, art takes a long time, unfortunately, to do it right. So I just want to make sure that if whatever plan that you guys go forward with, that the art board can also get started. Because if it'll take you all a year to do sidewalks and signs, it'd be nice if that was installed close there in 2 at the same time. And so I think the arts board is really going to need probably well over a year, to do it properly.
Right. I would propose, though, you said waiting, I would propose the sidewalks and be installed, this year if possible. Of course, we're halfway through the year soon. And we'd like to get our signs up this year, but we can just keep adding to this. If I spoke we're going to happen this year, I meant the art wouldn't happen this year. We wouldn't.
Is it really just the art display that you want to go to the arts committee, or is it the layout and like sign locations and idea too?
Personally, I see only the art installment going to the art board.
Okay.
I think the rest of it is a council decision. Central business could make a recommendation, but I think council would be very interested in all of this as a whole, and arts board only take that one piece.
I do think the art piece will probably take a long time because, number one, you have to have an idea of what you want. You have to obviously procure an artist, and you have to give them time to make it. And that all takes time.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the work we could do relatively quick. I'd like to give Public Works probably at least a month notice or so they can schedule it. But it's a relatively low cost project. Like Bob said, about $14,000 for the sidewalks and the bench under this design. The other just kind of more plain L-shaped designs, about $2,000 less. The benches are about $2,000 each. And like I say, the sidewalk under this proposal is about $12,000. So, relatively cheap in the big scheme of things.
Yeah.
Relocating the sign isn't really much work for us. So it's just kind of a matter of funding the historical signs and then also the artwork.
Do you think
we do have an art donation fund too. It's over $100,000. from a donor that we could approach potentially about funding the art display.
It seems like, Bob, and let me know what you think, and Marissa, please, as well. It seems like our joint committee, maybe just you and I, Bob, should have a conversation with the art board. Is that correct? And to get a better picture of just what our plan is and what our vision is, where we're at in the project, and then think about how we can be working together. Does that seem like a reasonable next step, or is that, what do you think, Marissa?
I do, but excuse me, I think if you and Bob can have a conversation about how you see this happening, like, do you just want the arts board to take only the proposed exhibit? Then I would recommend a short presentation and a discussion. And I know they're jumping for excitement on getting started on something. This is a perfect first project. I do think using some of our funds that we have available to us is a good idea, but we need to put a limit on it because we do have other ideas for the town. And that's a discussion that we can have with the board as well. Personally, I'd like possibly to maybe talk to Marty with the bench proposal. And I think this is a good way to get the community together by asking for those bags to recycle into benches. And that would save $4 grand towards something else. Because those benches are free. And right now he's doing a bang up job getting those things. I guess he's got plenty and great support. So if you include a CI fundraiser into that, I bet you get enough bags in no time to get those 2 benches.
All right, can I jump in a second, please? For the sake of time, because we're going to be cutting it short here, I would like to see, once again, Bob, Chris, and Marissa, y'all eventually get together with the art committee and hash something out. I mean, come up with a plan and then bring that back to central business. And then, of course, let's get town council involved. But this sounds like a good project that's going to take more than time that we have at this meeting to really come up with a solid plan, but it sounds good.
Yep, I agree.
Chris, you have anything?
No, I think those make sense next steps, and I'm really
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm really interested in Bob, of course, too, as co-chair. Are you in agreement with these next steps? Does that sound reasonable?
Yes, definitely. I think meeting with the arts committee, I think, is a great idea. No problem doing that. My only question is, Mr. Bishop, are you saying we should do that before we approach council with this plan?
Yeah, well, because I mean, see, that's one of those tricky questions. I mean, it's a good plan, but I know they're going to ask, what do we as central business think about it? And then central business, I'm going to ask the art board, what do y'all think about it? So
Okay.
this is not going to happen within the next couple of weeks. But Marissa, how soon do you think y'all could meet the arts? When I say y'all, I'm talking about the arts board or some parties of it.
Well, given there's a holiday upcoming, I might recommend a meeting maybe Thursday. If we could attempt to pull our arts board together, Andrew could see if there's availability, but I know that they're excited, so they're going to want to meet if we have a project.
Okay.
And
Chris?
we could give our recommendation to central business, and then together, those 2 pieces can go to council, so the answers are already there for them.
Yeah, I like to have answers when people ask me questions.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, Mr. Bob, does that make it to y'all's schedule?
Is that Thursday, the 3rd of next week?
If we can get the people together, that's what I propose, yes.
Okay. Yep, I can pin that for now, but I agree with that proposal, absolutely. It seems doable. Bob?
We are scheduled to meet, June 8th for our regular monthly meeting.
If you schedule for the 8th, it's not that much difference in time.
I'd like to go ahead though, because I feel like we can take this whole hour we have that day and talk, because we're going to talk about it, in detail. And I think we could definitely use a good 45 minutes to do that. And then our next meeting could be, well, now that you've had a chance to digest it, let's talk about what we can recommend to central business. How do you feel about that, Andrew?
Sure. Yeah, it's really a matter of scheduling. So, and making sure we have at least a majority of our members available for that Thursday meeting. So I can send out an email after this meeting and kind of check availability.
And honestly, just for the morale of the group, I think it's a great idea to talk about a project separate from other business.
Okay.
Just something you can get excited about without a lot of paperwork behind it.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Very good. Cool. Yeah,
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you all for allowing us to be here.
Yes, thank you very much. We're very excited about this, and everyone, it matters in making this happen. So thank you all very much.
Very good. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Bob. I think Sam might have lost connection. And so if we want to hold for a couple minutes, I think he'll be back.
Well, I want to point out that we have an open question from an anonymous attendee. How does Councilwoman Sachs not understand how the Arts Committee board she sits on work? So if somebody wants to give a little bit more detail, because I actually don't understand that question. What does this pertain to? So whoever is watching and wants to respond anonymously, please give me more info. Thank you.
I don't know what happened. I got cut off again. So is someone asking us a question that we don't have an answer to?
Yeah, it's a question about how I don't know how the arts board works.
Oh, you don't?
I guess.
I think we need to move on, please.
Okay, I'm ready for the next.
Okay, so let me pull up.
Are we now on? Because once in,
Right,
I got.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm where we at because once again, I don't know if it's my laptop or what, but something keeps knocking me off. So where are we at? I'm sorry, Adam. What?
So we're really on the second item, public arts.
Okay.
And I mean, this is fresh, I think, from last night, and just wanted to reiterate kind of next steps with the public arts plan that it was the board's desire to have a video done, that we would explain, the plan a bit. And so we will be doing that and posting that on the website. We will have it, the plan posted on the website, on the public arts landing page. And then from there, we would be looking for any public comment that there may be. I'll get with public relations to kind of see how we want to, get a push out there for any particular comments. And we are moving towards having a meeting next Thursday as well, but we'll figure that out. That's not set in stone. That meeting could move as well for public comment. So there's that date's up in the air now, but we will look to try to bring the arts board together next Thursday to discuss the art project at Town Square. So that's really all I had. I didn't know if there was any follow-up questions from last evening or moving forward with the public's art plan. But right now it is now, we have, I think, a good structure for taking on projects and how we will handle those projects. Some of our sections may need to be amended and refined as we go along and as we learn more. But I do think it's a really good roadmap for right now and how to proceed. Mm-hmm. So I think we might have lost Mr. Bishop again. So Marissa, was there anything? Hi, Sam. Sorry.
No, I just give kudos to the group. They've worked really hard to pull this together and staff to get to this point. So thank you for all that.
And one thing that we're playing with is what I could develop over time is a GIS storyboard working with Dayton Cough. And this is something that we'll develop over time, but it's where, you know, it could be more of an interactive layer on our website to discover where public art is using GIS with pictures and some history potentially at the different locations. So
That's pretty exciting.
So that's really all I had for the public arts plan.
All right, Andrew, of course, I missed all that, so I'll catch up with you later. This is getting to be aggravating for me, so I may try to call in.
Okay. Well, and if there's any particular comments regarding last night or you know, about the plan that you'd like incorporated, we're really any public comment that this committee may have or council as a whole or from the public at this point for it to be able to take back to the board, you know, for their consideration.
Okay.
The facade grant program closed on the 12th of May, and I hope to be finalizing in the next day. So, you know, so you all will be getting a phone call and the rest of the members of the review committee to finalize a date to review those applications. And there's we did receive 5 applications, so it wasn't a hearty as a whole as we'd had the first time. But I do think they're all, yeah, even though there are some repeat ones, they all have merit and do, you know, warrant a review by the committee. So, and so, yeah, we will get the selection committee together and have a recommendation, you know, for you all at the next meeting. If not, you know, obviously we'll be trying to move that along as quick as possible. So after we get the selection committee together, you know, we would go, I think we would just basically be ready to move forward with the grants, since I think, you know, I know whoever is selected, a couple of the grantee or the applicants have said, you know, they're ready to go if they are selected. So.
Okay.
The next item is a rally grant update. I think it was mentioned last night that you know they are fundraising. Going to be working through the upcoming fundraising event that's done by the foundation, and that they're moving forward with the design. You know, and I think at a slower pace than they would like, but so I think they're pleased with the design and moving forward. You know, with getting that project installed and up and running. The love sign at Christiansburg Aquatic Center would be the next item. And I really, we are doing some further research on, you know, on the designs that we had before. And so I don't have anything for you to react to today, but I will at the next meeting. So I did want to keep that on the agenda. And that really would bring us to other business. If there's anything else for the, you know, that I don't have anything in particular. Marissa, do you have anything, or Sam?
I really don't have anything further at this time. I guess y'all have Bob, Chris, Marissa, y'all did come up with a date to meet, correct?
Yes.
I'm muted.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to we're going to see what the schedule is for everybody and try to meet Thursday.
Okay, that sounds good. Like I say, once again, I apologize. I don't know what's going on with this laptop or my internet, but I've gotten most of it. So now the love sign, at one time I thought we was thinking about putting something up where people can take pictures. Is that still in the works?
Right, it's a hashtag sign, and we get, you know, what we had before and what we thought we were going to move forward with. There was a little bit more text to this one than I thought that maybe you all had. I could bring it up real quick.
I think the one Radford did is awesome. It's on like Clearly site.
Mhm.
It looks really good.
Okay. I must have closed out of it. But at any rate, it had the Town of Christiansburg logo, Town of Christiansburg, the place to be, and then hashtag Love Christiansburg. And from our conversation last week, it seemed like maybe there was just a desire to do the hashtag itself. So I wanted to go back and look at other designs we considered to see if it was more consistent with that. If I garnered that correctly from the conversation at the last meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I see a hashtag only because it's super popular right now, but you know, to have something else like the town seal with it, I think is a great idea.
Okay.
What about a QR code? The link to our website or to the tourism site?
I mean, you certainly could. That's very popular right now, and they come in all kinds of shapes. So that's something to consider.
Yeah, I see people still going over there quite often and taking pictures with that sign. So once again, if we could put something there that identified this as Christiansburg, I think it's our goal. Am I correct on that?
That's how I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is kind of what we had talked about before I was able to find it. So if you had any, it says Christiansburg is for lovers down here. And that was really more in tune with the tourism effort, you know, that was happening, that is still happening, but you know, obviously I think we were bringing in folks from across the state, and we were thinking about doing something along those lines at the time.
So Lisa's group is going to use this as well?
What's that?
So is tourism going to use this as well, or are they already using it?
No, I think this was kind of an initial conversation that we had potentially with Lisa a while back. And then I think it just stopped, you know, and didn't move forward from that point. But I think this was the design that Amy had come up with, you know, a while back, along with other designs. But this, you know, I think this was the one that we were leaning towards at the time, where it didn't move forward. So, and this certainly could be just hashtag Christiansburg as well.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I guess there's an organization that deals with what Virginia's for Lovers. I wonder how they feel if we stuck our name in it, would they think we were kind of taking their saying? Because there is an organization, I forgot the name of it right now, that deals with what Virginia's for Lovers. I think it's, once again, we probably get with Lisa's office and find out more.
Yeah, there's a Virginia Tourism Council. I actually know some
Okay.
people there. We could talk to them. I doubt they have a problem with it, but we can check.
Hey.
Right.
So last
Amy's
year,
chiming in.
I've been listening. So last year was the 50th anniversary, or whenever this was last discussed, was the 50th anniversary of Virginia's for Lovers. And so we had a discussion, and they were pushing the campaign for Virginia is for Lovers, and we did confirm that they're completely okay with us using Christiansburg is for Lovers. I can now that it's later, but they were okay with that at the time. They were super excited for people. It's meant to be a statewide campaign that we all can kind of brand for ourselves for tourism. But I can pull up those old emails with Lisa and confirm with her that she's in agreement with that before she leaves. But this is what I think that was the agreement back then that we had, all the other designs. But like Andrew said, I can look up all the designs and start from fresh again if we want to look at the other ones. But that was why we went towards the Christiansburg is for Lovers at that time, is because of them trying to brand that with the anniversary, and trying to allow localities to brand it with themselves as well.
Okay, well, that sounds good. But like I said, if you can just verify that they still feel that way, we don't be stepping on anyone's toes.
I
Sounds
can
good.
actually see this as a larger campaign. Just Christiansburg is for, and then leave it blank, is for baseball, is for outdoor activity, is for Huckleberry. It could be endless as to what somebody's doing. So,
Yeah, and that's part of the initiation behind behind that campaign is kind of like Virginia is for mountain lovers, Virginia lovers. So it really could be something that if we wanted to, we could kind of brand for ourselves as in addition to the place to be.
Okay.
yeah, I love that. Hey, the only tiny little thing I see about this, having the little OCD, is the logo. It's not centered with the rest of the text, and that's kind of visually killing me. I'm sorry. I had to say that.
That's
So
all
say that
right.
again. So the logo is not.
I understand.
Oh, I see. I see. It is
Logos-
shifted a bit up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to deal with because it pushes over with the seal and leaves extra gaps. So I can give you a couple of different options.
I'm happy to help. If you need any help, I can help. And I'll send it right back to you.
What type of file is that?
I think it's a PDF.
It's a PNG.
No, yeah, that's right. Let's see. Let me see real quick. It's a PNG file. Correct.
Amy, seriously, if you need any help, I'm happy to help you. Just let me know.
And
If
so,
your software doesn't do it,
cool. Is there a reason why we would do two different fonts in the hashtag?
No, I think originally, and that's something I noticed also when when you replied to this morning, because I haven't looked at something about it. I think the reason why that font was chosen is I think it's the font that the state uses, but I'm thinking we rebrand it to our font.
Okay.
So that it looks better. So
Yeah.
I think I'll use our font, our town style guide for that.
Yeah.
So I'll send you guys some another mock-up and maybe a couple different color options and things like that, and look at the old ones and see if any of those reflect your interest as well, and also confirm with Lisa about that we're still allowed to use it, that we can use the is for lovers.
If you did like a fill in the blank in front of lovers, like baseball or swimming or something like that, would you have that in a third color, like maybe the navy blue?
That's a good idea.
I don't really know how we could write that for them to fill in the blank on their own on the sign. Like I feel like
well, I know that, but just like if we're doing it for something in particular.
Yeah, we can definitely do that, and that would make it stand out.
Okay, Andrew, are we still in contact with the Aquatic Center Board for their input?
We have not reconnected with them since, this initial conversation that,
Right.
was part of back, a while back, but we will re-engage with them, regarding this. They've been very
Okay,
supportive of everything to do with the love sign, but yes, we will make sure that they're aware.
You wouldn't want to make the sign at the Aquatic Center, Christiansburg is for swimming and diving lovers, would you?
That's where it could become endless.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah. But I think once again, like we said, just somebody come back with a few ideas, because I mean, like Marissa said, we can make this thing go forever, ever, and ever. But I think it's great ideas. Let's do something.
Because I think the love sign itself should be a standalone unit. It looks fabulous where it's placed, but it is a love sign. So keeping that in mind.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be a freestanding sign, somewhere. sign, like between the O and the V is what we discussed last time, I think. Very good. So it has to be proportional. So I guess we don't want to get it. We want to have too much, 2 words, because it won't be, we don't want it to dominate the love sign or block part of it.
Right.
We want people to be able to read it. So,
You're visible in a picture.
Mhm.
Right.
Exactly,
Okay.
because like in Radford, they have that really nice brick wall as a background, so it shows up pretty good there on the main street.
Yeah.
Wherever we place ours, you might have clouds behind it, so we may end up having to not be clear. Something will show up.
Or you might be better off having it to the side instead of having it to the center, because a lot of people might want to stand in the middle to get their picture taken.
Exactly. And I think the aquatics board might be a good one to offer their advice.
Right. Okay. Well, it sounds like we have a lot of ideas. And once again, for the sake of time, if there's nothing else, I would like to move on to if there's any other business that we need to take care of today.
I did want to ask, is DCI still going to attend our meetings?
I know that Sharon, my understanding is that she is leaving DCI, but I will follow up with Justin to see if there's someone that would be available.
Okay, I know Ellie's got her hands full too, but I would like to include them if possible.
Right.
Absolutely. Very good.
Yeah, because I think they've been to a couple of meetings.
But
Okay.
being volunteers for the most part, it's hard, and I understand that.
Right. Okay.
No more business for me though, Sam.
Well, okay. There any other business to come before this committee, or board, whatever we are, committee? If not, then it is now, I have 12:57. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Y'all have a good day.
Good, good.
You
Thank
too.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. Catch y'all later. Andrew,
Yes, sir.
I don't know what was going on with this computer today, buddy. It was all over the place. So I don't know if it's my laptop or if it's my internet, but it was just cutting me off left and right.
Your connection this morning was okay, wasn't it?
I noticed. That's why I can't get it. So I don't know if it's the time of